Welcome to our deep dive on the future of coffee. You sent us a fascinating mix of sources this time: market reports, trend pieces, even a look into this company, Liberty Beans Coffee, and their vision for the future of coffee. Looks like you're after more than just your average coffee knowledge. So let's dive right in. We'll be exploring everything from that sustainable sipping all the way to coffee cocktails that'll really shake up your mixology skills.
Yeah, it's really interesting to see how much is happening, beyond just the cup itself. We're talking ethics and global impact and the whole coffee experience. It's a pretty rich topic that you've chosen here.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, so let's unpack all this. And I think a good place to start would be sustainability. One of the sources that you sent over mentioned that fair trade sales were up 12% in 2020. Seems like people are putting their money where their morals are, but it's gotta be more than just a feel good trend, right?
Yeah, you're absolutely right. When farmers are paid fairly and they can reinvest in their land, the quality of the coffee actually improves. One of your sources actually cited a study about shade-grown coffee. It's a key sustainable practice, and it allows the beans to mature slowly. And what that does is it results in a much more complex and flavorful profile.
So it's better for the planet and the farmers, and it tastes better.
Yeah.
Okay, I like where this is going. And speaking of taste, let's move on to the specialty coffee explosion that's been happening. This isn't our grandma's coffee anymore.
Yeah, and this trend really shows a desire for unique and high quality experiences. Specialty coffee shops aren't just selling a drink, they're offering an ambiance, an education, a connection to the origin of the beans, a whole 9 yards.
Yeah, that's true. Just think about those coffee shops with all the pour over setups and the ones that roast their beans like in house. It really is a whole experience. But is it all hype, or is there some real substance behind all of this specialty coffee movement?
Oh, there's definitely substance. Coffee education is on the rise, and people are learning about all the different brewing methods and tasting notes. Even the terroir, which is the term for the unique environmental factors that actually impact the flavor of the beans. Imagine traveling to like Ethiopia and experiencing the distinct terroir of Yirgacheffe coffee, known for its floral and citrus notes.
Okay, now you're speaking my language. Sign me up for that coffee tourism. But but even with this focus on origin and quality, there's this whole world of coffee innovation happening at the same time.
Oh yeah, you better hold on to your mugs because we're going way
Uh,
beyond cold brew now.
mm.
Think nitro coffee, coffee infused drinks, even coffee smoothie bowls.
Coffee smoothie bowls. Okay, I think that one might be a bit much even for me, but it really shows how coffee is becoming this really versatile ingredient, not just, a beverage. Are any of these trends actually like taking off though?
Well, from what you've shared, the global coffee market is expected to hit a pretty huge number, $102.15 billion by 2025.
Wow. That's a lot of coffee. Where is all that growth coming from?
The Asia Pacific region,
Yeah.
it's seeing the fastest growth, driven by rising incomes and this really booming coffee culture that's popping up. China and India especially are really developing a taste for coffee like never before.
So we've got ethical sourcing, we've got this focus on the whole experience, and we've got a market that's just exploding with innovation. What could go wrong, right?
Well, there are always challenges, and a big one is supply chain vulnerability.
Hmm.
I think climate change and political instability, things that could really disrupt production.
That's a good point. It's a good reminder that the future of coffee really does depend on those sustainable practices that we were just talking about, protecting the environment and the livelihoods of all the farmers involved.
Yeah, okay, we've covered a lot of ground here, from sustainable farms to coffee cocktails and everything in between. What about emerging trends? What's next on the horizon? One trend that's already brewing is this rise of plant-based coffee.
Right.
You mentioned Oatly and their success is undeniable, but there are so many other players in the game now.
Yeah, that's true. Even my local coffee shop has like at least five different kinds of milk alternatives these days. Is there one that really stands out to you?
Your sources actually mentioned pea milk as a rising star. It's got a creamy texture, and it's remarkably sustainable because of its low water footprint.
Pea milk. Huh. I'll have to give that a try. But you know what I really need after all this coffee talk? A cocktail.
Well, you're in luck because coffee cocktails are having a moment. You even included an espresso martini recipe in your research. bartenders are getting really creative, using coffee as this base for these complex and flavorful drinks.
Okay, I think we've earned ourselves a cocktail break after all this, but
Yeah.
before we go, we need to talk about, the classics. Cold brew and coffee pods, those aren't going anywhere, right?
No, they're not going anywhere, but they're evolving. Cold brew is getting smoother with innovations like nitro infusion, and coffee pods are becoming more sustainable, and companies are exploring compostable and recyclable options. Even the established trends are finding ways to innovate.
It seems like the coffee world is constantly changing. It makes me wonder though, with all this newness, will we lose that traditional coffee ritual? That quiet moment with your hot cup in the morning.
That's a really great question. It's tempting to think that those traditions might fade away, but there's something so grounding about that morning cup.
Yeah, I agree. Even with all the fancy gadgets and stuff, there's just something special about brewing a pot of coffee and just enjoying the aroma.
Yeah, it's a ritual that really connects us to the past.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
a moment of peace before the day begins, and I really do think that core ritual will endure, even if it looks a little different in the future.
Yeah. Maybe we'll be sipping our nitro cold brew from a biodegradable pod and checking our coffee themed social media feeds, right?
Yeah, perhaps, or maybe we'll be brewing these personalized blends with AI powered coffee machines that just know exactly what we like.
Yeah.
It's really fascinating to think about all the possibilities.
It really is. But even with all these futuristic scenarios, I think that essence of the coffee ritual will remain, that pause, that connection to something bigger than ourselves, that pure enjoyment of a well-brewed cup.
I agree. Yeah, it really is something.
Right.
Even with all this change, that simple pleasure of a good cup of coffee, it never gets old.
Yeah, it's like this perfect mix of tradition and innovation.
Hmm.
The core product's the same, but the ways we experience it are always changing. And it makes me think back to something you mentioned earlier, that global nature of coffee.
Yeah,
It
yeah.
it really connects us all in so many ways.
Absolutely. I mean, coffee beans are often grown in one part of the world and then processed in another and then consumed in a whole other place altogether.
Yeah.
It really does transcend borders and cultures.
Yeah, and not just in how we enjoy it, but the industry itself.
Yeah.
Farmers, roasters, distributors, retailers, they're all part of this really intricate global network.
Oh, and of course we can't forget about the baristas, right? They're the artists who bring it all together. They transform those beans into the drinks that we all love.
It's really incredible when you think about it, all the hands that touch a single cup of coffee before it gets to us.
Yeah.
It's a good reminder that our choices as consumers can have ripple effects across the globe.
Exactly. That's why supporting ethical sourcing is so important. It's not just about getting a better cup of coffee for yourself. It's
Yeah.
about contributing to a more equitable and sustainable coffee industry for everyone involved.
So we've talked about, the trends and the innovations and the global impact, but with all of that in mind, what do you think the future holds for the culture of coffee? Will our morning cup stay this solitary ritual, or will we see a shift in how coffee shapes our social interactions?
That's a really interesting question. Will coffee shops become even more integral to our communities, or will virtual coffee dates become the norm? Will we see a resurgence of home roasting and DIY coffee, or will we rely on technology to personalize our coffee experience? It's really up in the air.
Yeah, it's really interesting to think about. It's more than just the beans and the brewing. It's about how coffee fits into our lives and reflects our values.
Exactly, and that brings me to a final thought. What kind of coffee culture do you want to see, and what role will you play in shaping it? That's something to think about.
This has been such an amazing deep dive. We've explored, everything from sustainable sourcing to coffee cocktails, market projections, to the very essence of the coffee ritual.
It's been a pleasure exploring this topic with you. And remember, the future of coffee is being written every single day. So stay curious, keep exploring, and savor every sip.
It really makes you think, the future of coffee isn't just about what's in the cup.
Yeah.
It's about the role that it plays in society and how it shapes our connections with each other
Yeah,
and
it's bigger than just ourselves.
yeah, exactly. And those connections they extend way beyond just our immediate circles. Remember, coffee is this global commodity that links, farmers in one part of the world to consumers in another.
Yeah, that's true. We talked about fair trade and ethical sourcing, but
Yeah.
but there's this whole human story behind every single cup of coffee.
Yeah, absolutely. And that story is it's constantly evolving as the industry grapples with these challenges like climate change and economic inequality. One of the sources you sent actually talked about how coffee farmers are becoming more vulnerable because of, the unpredictable weather patterns and stuff.
Yeah, it's a tough situation for a lot of those farmers.
It is. It's a good reminder that enjoying a delicious cup of coffee, it comes with a responsibility to consider, the well-being of everyone who grows it and produces it.
Couldn't agree more. And as consumers, we really do have the power to make choices that support, a more sustainable and equitable coffee future for everyone.
That's a really powerful thought. It's not just about following the trends, but about being, conscious of the impact that our coffee habits have on the world.
You got it. So as you continue to explore this amazing world of coffee, I really encourage you to think beyond the beans and the brewing methods and consider the human and environmental stories that are woven into each cup.
This has been such an incredible journey. We've covered so much from sustainable sipping to coffee cocktails, market projections, the essence of the coffee ritual, all of it.
It's been a pleasure sharing this deep dive with you. And remember, the future of coffee is being written every single day. So stay curious, keep exploring, and savor every sip.
Cheers to that.